All right, team, what's up? Happy Thursday. Hope everybody's doing awesome. I am Dr. Jeff Moore, currently serving as the CEO of ICE, and always thrilled to have you all join us here on a Leadership Thursday on The Daily Show. Today, we're going to chat about making fitness personal. Literally personal, using myself as an example. Prior of getting into that, want to mention a few upcoming courses. Let's highlight the online courses today. We've got a number of them starting in the next couple of weeks. So on October 31st, we have two options. So Halloween, we've got persistent pain, comprehensive management with Justin Dunaway, and then we have primary care PT with Morgan Denny. So those both start on October 31st. If you're doing the ICE certification, those are both required courses. So if you need to get that in before next year's sampler to test, make sure you jump into one of these cohorts coming up soon. November 1st, we have fitness athlete pregnancy and postpartum. So if you want to get into women's health, into pelvic health, our 8-week online course starts on November 1st. So that's only not even 2 weeks away. And then November 7th, we have Fitness Athlete Essential Foundations, the original Fitness Forward course. So all of those online courses start over the next 3 weeks. So if you want to jump in, get some CEUs and engage with the ICE crew in the online forum, that is available to you. It's Thursday. We can't skip Gut Check Thursday. This one is mine, but I do want to make a qualifier. Alan gave you a little bit of grace here. So the workout for Gut Check Thursday is as follows. You're going to do AMRAPs of 2 minutes. So as many rounds or reps as possible in 2 minutes. 15-12 on the bike. Okay, 15-12 calories on the bike. Then burpees for the rest of the 2 minutes. Then you're going to rest a minute. Then you're going to do it again. And you're going to keep doing this until you accumulate 100 burpees. This is a workout that we did here at CrossFit Endure, but we only had 90 seconds on the AMRAP. So it made it a little bit cozier. So I'm thinking you can knock this out. I bet some of you are going to get this in 7 rounds or so, because you're going to have a fair amount of time to rock those bar facing burpees. So please get some video, get some time lapse, tag Ice Physio, hashtag Ice Train. Love watching those, love doing them with you every weekend. So team, let's get into it. I want to talk about making fitness personal. And I want to use myself as an example because I feel like I've been kind of going around this topic, but maybe never articulating it quite clearly enough. And I think there's so much gravity to this because if you can get to this point, not only is clinic going to change for you and become more engaging, but you're going to transform people's lives. And we keep saying, I want to change lives, not just pain. But to do that, you got to get in all the way down to some of this stuff. So let me explain. So I had this conversation with Julie Burrill, who runs Goal Set Mindset podcast, which is awesome, by the way. It was at the very end of the episode, and it generated some really fun discussions with a whole variety of folks. And because of that, I want to bring it onto this platform and really lay this out so we can chat about it. And to do so, I want to start with what is a primary problem for you in the clinic? And I know this because it's a primary problem for every physio, every rehab practitioner in the clinic, and that is patient motivation. So when people come to you at first, they're motivated because they're in pain, right? And pain is a great motivator. Like it's why they seek you out. It's why they engage so aggressively the first couple of weeks. When people are trying to get out of pain, they're usually naturally very motivated to do so. But once the pain is gone, it gets a lot more challenging. And all of you know this, right? That second pitch, if you will, of how fit will you let me get you? We've been talking about that now for years, right? This idea of like getting back to the person you used to be isn't good enough because that person got hurt. Right? Why don't we get you way fitter than that person and build up reserve so that you can do everything you love in things you thought you couldn't? It's like, why don't we do so much better than just getting back to baseline? So we've talked about this forever, but you know it's challenging. You know it's challenging because you're trying to get folks on continuity plans to be able to accomplish that, right? Like get in here regularly. Let's put these problems out before they really get burning, right? It's so much easier to keep issues away than it is to get rid of them. Like we're all trying to sell this, not because we're trying to grow our businesses, although that's true. Everybody wants to have a healthy business, but you legitimately want to transform that person's life. And you know that's bigger than just getting rid of their acute pain. but you also know it's challenging. Now, the argument I want to make is I think we often default and say, well, patients just don't want it, right? Or worse yet, patients are lazy. And I don't think that's fair. I think it's generally because you have not connected with them, you have not explained to them or connected the dots of how you're coming alongside them is really going to help them meet their most profound goals. I don't think we get people to that point. This is because we don't know their most profound goals. This is the problem. This is why we aren't connecting the dots. Last time I was on here, I talked about how, when we talked about why you need more time in a session, I talked about how nobody's big goal has ever been to get rid of knee pain. That's nobody's actual problem, right? The problem is not that they have knee pain. The problem is not that their knee pain is preventing them from running. Their problem is not that their knee pain is preventing them from running, which is preventing them from being in the 5K that's coming up in 2 months. Their problem is that they've got knee pain that is preventing them from running, that is preventing them from signing up for the local 5K, that's being held in the honor of somebody they deeply respect. It's held every year and they've never missed one. That's the problem. But it's always a bunch of layers down, and it takes time to drill all the way down. But once you do, you tap into that emotion, and it's that emotion that creates the motivation. But if you don't get there, if you're just connected at a level of knee pain, you're never going to get how fit will you let me get you, because they don't need it. You're not down that far. If the problem was knee pain, once you get rid of the knee pain, it's over. They're not going to continue. They're not coming once a month. You're not doing programming for them. The knee pain's gone. And that was the level you connected with them at. Whatever level you connect with the patient at is the problem that you and that patient are going to solve. If that's only pain, that's as long as they're going to stay engaged. Okay, so let me give you myself as an example as a patient, because I think this might help. And this is where I want all of you to try to get in the clinic. And the reason is because it solves all the other problems. So if I tweak my back and I came into you for care, it would go something like this. If you asked me, hey, what do you want to do? My first answer would be, well, I want the pain to be gone, right? My back is killing me. It's annoying. You could just stop right there. If you went a little further, you would say, well, why do you want the pain to be gone? I mean, I know it bothers you, but for what reason are the things you want to do? I would say, yeah, I want to be able to work out. I want to be able to get back in the gym. I hate not being able to work out. A lot of clinicians would stop right there, right? Well, at least that's something. Now we have get rid of the pain and something else. But if you went a little deeper and you said, why do you want to be able to work out? Like, working out in itself is not all that fun. Like, what's the why behind you dragging yourself to the gym and, doing all this work in there? What's the driver? I would say, well, I want to be able to do the things that I love, right? A lot of things that I love require a lot of strength. They're very active. They're very physical. Okay. What if you went deeper? Well, what's the most physical thing you do that you love? What's the thing that you're really worried you might lose if you don't maintain that strength in the gym? I would answer you, one of the things that probably the most physically demanding thing that I do is I love to do adventure motorcycling. So I love to get up in the backcountry on my motorcycle and go through single track trails and see a lot of the backcountry and camp and do all the things. Like, that's something really near and dear to my heart that I love to do, but it is a very physical task. If you went one layer deeper, right? And I know most of you are thinking, boy, I'm not sure I went that far. If you kept drilling down and you said, who do you do it with? Or who do you want to do it with? Or do you have any goals around adventure motorcycling? Like, now that I know what you really love to do, my honest, deep down why, and I'm telling you this very personally, my honest deep down why is I want to be able to ride the backcountry discovery routes across the western part of the United States with my grandkids. If you want to know my actual why at the very, very bottom, I want to be able to do that with my grandkids. I kind of watch my kids getting older, and I know they're going to have kiddos, in 5 or 10 or 15 years or whatever. And I would love, because I enjoy it so much and I enjoy this part of the country so much, I would love to have the physical capacity to be able to bring them out and do that and share that with them and pass that on to them. Like, that's what I really want, right? Okay, now we're there. Now we've worked all the way down. You've struck that deep emotional chord. You found the actual finish line. And it's so much further than get rid of my back pain or get me back to the gym or get me back to you kept drilling down. And now you got there. You struck that chord. And now we can work backwards. And here's what I mean by that. So now that you know exactly what I want to do, you got the emotions, you struck the chord. Now we can talk about, okay, what exactly does that look like? And I'm going to unpack this for you right now because this is the part we phone in. And this is where it gets serious because what gets tracked gets changed. It's when things are measurable, they become a target and we can shoot at targets. Okay, this is where it gets relevant. If you found that out about me, your next question should be, well, tell me all about that. I don't know a bunch about adventure motorcycling. What does it look like to be able to do that? Well, here's the answer to that. My bike weighs a little bit over 400 pounds. Okay, the actual apparatus that I'm riding, that I'm maneuvering around, it weighs a little bit over 400 pounds. Let me tell you some things I have to do with that bike when I'm out there on the trail and messing around. A lot of the times I have to guide it at shoulder height or higher over obstacles. So the bike is 400 pounds. It's never right over my head, but it's just in front of me and I have to maneuver it. Well, that means I've got to manage around 200 pounds over shoulder height kind of dynamically. I'm often moving my feet. I'm trying to organize the bike, even getting it on and off the truck, going up the ramp. I have to hold it above my shoulders and guide it and maneuver it and work with it. Couple hundred pounds over shoulder height. The bike often falls down. When it does, for those of you that ride, you know what you do. You go jump on the front side of the bike where the seat is, you put your back against the seat and you stand it back up. It looks a lot like a hack squat, right? Now the bike is 400 pounds, but I'm going at an angle like this. It's not the full 400, but it's probably close to 300 because it's not 45 degrees. It's less than that. I've got to be able to move that bike from ground back to standing. It takes about 300 pounds of force to do that. The bike occasionally gets on obstacles or heaven forbid falls on somebody, not out of the question, where I would have to be able to lift it straight up off the ground, at least for a second, for someone to be able to get out from under it or move an obstacle. The bike is 400 pounds. I've got to be able to lift that from the floor. Okay, last thing. I know this is a lot. That's the whole point. Last thing, where do I ride? I ride in the Front Range of Colorado, but when I'm telling you about my big goal, those backcountry discovery routes are pretty remote. So oftentimes I'm going to be riding in areas that are 20, 25 miles away from the next rest stop or given area where I might be able to get some help. So if I'm going to be competent out there and safe, I need to be able to comfortably get by foot 25 miles at any given time at a reasonable pace. If it's getting dark and I've got to get some help, I've got to be able to cover that ground. If I'm going to be able to accomplish what I want to accomplish as the years of my life go on, I need those physical prerequisites. Well, now that you know how much emotion I have tied to having those capabilities, now you can make your corollaries in the gym. Okay, great. What does that look like? Well, I've got to be able to move from shoulder to overhead 200 pounds. Okay, that's about my body weight. So I've got to be able to body weight something, be it strict press, push jerk. I've got to be able to get weight from my shoulders to overhead 200 pounds. I've got to be able to squat 300 pounds. Right? We talked about it, the hack squat, right? It's not 400. It's not fully up and down. It's at an angle, but it's not 200. It's probably right around 300 pounds. If I'm going to be able to get that bike back up, I've probably got to have a 300 pound back squat. And if somebody's under the bike, if it's my grandkid under the bike, I need to be able to pick it up. That's 400 pound deadlift. So you can look in the gym and say, to do what you love and always want to be able to do, you need these requisites. What's the last piece? 25 miles. I told you, I regularly in the Poudre Canyon find myself about 25 miles away from Walden or Fort Collins. If the bike breaks down or something, I've got to be able to get to civilization comfortably. That's 25 miles. That's roughly the distance of a marathon. I need to be able to cover that at a reasonable clip. Are you following me? I told you what I want to do. I told you why it's emotional. It's got a family component. It's a big deal. To be able to do it, there's certain prerequisites. You've now made gym examples of what those are. Team, I've done this for myself, but you could do this for a patient. And let me tell you something. I am obsessed with those numbers I just told you because I know what they mean. Yes, it's why I saw Sam commented here in the comments. Yes, it's why I always run a fall marathon. Every year I check in and make sure, can I jog 25 miles comfortably? If I needed to get some help, am I able to do that? Am I competent with that? It's why every January 1st, I check all my strength metrics. My back squat, can I move that weight? Can I get that weight overhead? Can I pick that weight off the ground? If I can run the marathon and I can hit those numbers, I can keep doing what I love. If I have a lot of margin on those things, I bet I can do it for a long time. That's where the grandkid things become relevant. Team, I do accessory work for this. I never miss the gym because of this. I think about this all the time. Imagine how compliant of a patient I would be if it was you that I was using to get that accessory work, to get that block programming before the marathon, to check in on those numbers, to take out any tweaks that come that are preventing me from hitting those numbers. This is how people get compliant. They care, but they only care to shoot for however emotional the target is. This is emotional for me. It could be like this for every single one of your patients if you went this deep. That's what I want you to roll around in your head. If you want your patient to be engaged, be shooting for something they care about. If you want them to be able to be good at shooting the target, make it clear. To do so, you must drill down and then reverse engineer. That's how you get engagement. That's how you spark motivation. That's how people come every month on these maintenance programs to actually transform their lives. That's how you get the win you're really looking for. And it's how you never have to say, I wish my patient cared more. I wish my patient was more motivated. It's not their job to be self-motivated. Be nice if they were. It's your job to help them become motivated by connecting the dots that what you are doing in the gym isn't about the weights at all. It's about them being able to do things that they love and matter, are meaningful, that create a purposeful existence for them and their families. Give it some thought. I hope that helps. I just wanted to go all the way once so that you could see that and think about, am I getting that far with my patients, and understand why it would matter so much if you did. PTOnice.com, team. That's where everything lives. Hope you're all having a wonderful Thursday. Have a great weekend. I will see you next week.